Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah. My name is Nur Faiz Hakim bin Zulkarnain, matrix number 1240030. So this is for our video assignment presentation for UTR1012, Integrity dan Anti Rasuah, or in other words, integrity and corruption. So my case is about my own country's old cases, which is the corruption case of former Minister Teh Cheang Wan of Singapore in the year 1986. So before we move forward, there are two things that we need to introduce here, which is what is integrity and what is corruption. So integrity is a powerful trait on the left side that builds trust, respect, and credibility in all areas of life. It's about staying true to your values, being honest, and acting with responsibility. In a world where our trust is always tested, is always being checked about, integrity helps us stay grounded and navigate challenges with fairness. Okay, it involves doing the right things even when people are not watching us. And that is quite a challenge for most of us trying to survive in the world right now. And what is corruption? So we look at the right side. Corruption is those people in positions of power misusing their authority for personal benefit instead of doing what is fair and right. So those with like a higher rank or even at a higher stages than us. So those with actually more power in their positions of work. Or in this case, in my case, as a minister. Okay, it refers to dishonest or unethical behavior by individuals, often for personal gains, and it involves actions um, of corruption, which is bribery, fraud, embezzlement, or any activity where a person abuses the authority to benefit themselves at the expense of others. So when you imagine yourself being a minister and corruption, the thing that you can think about is, well, you are in charge of a certain area of the country, and when you enter into a world of corruption, you are destroying your own country as it is for your own benefit, of course. Okay, so who I'm discussing about is Mr. Teh Chang Wan. Okay, former minister during the 1986. He has, well, he's no longer around. Okay, so we'll do a bit of a background. So who is Teh Chang Wan? He was born in Singapore during the era of when Singapore was building up into a strong modern nation. So it's when Singapore was starting to build itself up, okay, from the ground up, being an independent country, trying to work its way into development, whether it be land or technological. So his earlier career was as an architect at the Public Works Department of New South Wales. So that is in Australia. So then he returned to Singapore and joined the Improvement Trust, where he was later on promoted to Chief Architect, and then soon resigning and went into politics to contribute to different aspects of the landscape of Singapore. In the early 1980s, Mr. Teh became a member of parliament representing the constituency of Hong Kah. His leadership skills and expertise in various areas helped him earn his place as a minister. So he earned this through merits, and during that time, during 1980s, he is the Minister of National Development of Singapore. So what happened during the timeline? For chronology, we are unable to get the details as the corruption practice, the CPIB, the Singapore's Corruption Practices Investigation Bureau, did not release a full statement nor any direct details on who was involved, except for just Mr. Tehra himself. All right. So he was Minister of National Development between 1979 and 1986, a former member of the governing People's Action Party. Okay, that was between 1979 and 1986, as stated. Mr. Teh Chiang Wan was investigated for corruption for 2 cases of bribery during his time as Minister of National Development. He was alleged to accepting bribes of 400,000 each in 1981 and 1982. So a totaling of 800,000, close to a million. from two private companies for helping retain and buy over a piece of state land for private development. Okay, there was no statement on on um, the names of the private companies, as there were no details on it. All right, so in the late 1986, okay, around November, Prime Minister Lee Kuan Yew approved the open investigation on Mr. Teh Chiang Wan's alleged corruption, issued by the Attorney General on 11 December. So this has been going on for a while. Only the investigation has started during, sorry, not during, on 11 December 1986. So Mr. Teh Chiang Wan, although he tried maintaining his innocence, he committed suicide before being charged for the offences on 14 December, though he did left a suicide note. So in the suicide note, Mr. Teh Chiang Wan wrote as, I have been feeling very sad and depressed for the last 2 weeks. I feel responsible for the occurrence of this unfortunate incident, and I feel I should accept full responsibility. As an honorable Oriental gentleman, I feel it is only right that I should pay the highest penalty for my mistake. So he was alleged, he was investigated, but at the end of it, he wasn't charged for it, as he has decided to unalive himself before the trial and before he was even charged. So how did this case affected Singapore's stance towards corruption? So after the month of when Mr. Teh Cheang Wan had unalived himself, the next month on 26 January 1987, Prime Minister Lee Kuan Yew delivered a speech by reading out the suicide note left behind by Teh Cheang Wan. He stressed in his own words that there is no way a minister can avoid investigation and a trial if there is evidence to support one, and furthermore reinforces the importance of having a system where people act in accordance to certain principles. So it's one of the few cases where Singapore tightened its grip on corruption, making sure that the ministers are treated and well paid. At the same time, the ministers are thoroughly checked out by the Singapore's corruption investigation bureau. So it doesn't matter what power you have, what position you are in, you will still be investigated and charged with, even with the abundance of contributions that has been made by Mr. Teh Cheang Wan. Okay, so in my conclusion, as human beings, we are prone to making mistakes. But when lives and livelihood are on the line and even involving your nation's growth and economy, none will be compromised. You are in a position of power in a way that it may not affect you, but it affects others under you. So as Prime Minister Lee Kuan Yew has spoken in his very own words, and I quote, the purpose is not just to be righteous. The purpose is to create a system which will carry on because it had not been compromised. I didn't do that just to be righteous about Teh Cheang Wan, but if I had compromised, that is the end of the system. So to understand that corruption may not affect you, but it does cause significant damage to your friends, family, and the people you serve, as you are the ones on power and authority to do the right thing. Teh Cheang Wan had made many contributions to Singapore's growth, but his very actions of accepting bribery may result in others following suit in the future. Singapore's stance on corruption is heavy. You will be directly charged, no matter your position, power, and status. Even till this day, in the late 2024, we also have another corruption case in regards to our minister, in regards to one of our minister. He is too thoroughly being investigated. Singapore is also trying to go through its growth even more. So with corruptions like this may destroy us very well if we continue to let corruption take its place. So that is where integrity comes in. As you, a human being, should also understand what is right and what is wrong. That is all from me. So thank you for listening into my presentation. InsyaAllah we shall meet again. So that is all from myself. Saya ucapkan wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.